Good evening, Crimson Tide Nation, and welcome to the 85th edition of the Alabama Crimson Tide Live College Show from yours truly, Jackson Johnson. I will be joined by Jeffrey and I talk sports in just a little bit as we go over our takes on what these anonymous coaches have been saying about the Alabama Crimson Tide on Athlon Sports. And I got to tell you, I got some major questions about what they're saying because I don't like it one bit. I don't think you guys will either. But I'm going to tell you this. This episode of the Alabama Crimson Tide Live College Show is presented by FanDuel, where you can get top-notch predictions in the world of college football, MLB, NBA, and much more. And I got to tell you, just looking at the Friday slate for Major League Baseball, it's going to be nuts. Because you got the Astros and the Cubs, the Guardians and the Phillies. You got them all. But I'm going to say, honestly, for the Cardinals, Reds, Yankees, Rays, which Friday game am I going with? I'm going to go with Yankees over the Rays. I mean, that looks like an easy pick, right? I mean, they should get it done. I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? So that's what's going to happen. The Yankees are going to smack the Rays off the face of the earth in Major League Baseball. But let's look at where the NBA has the Nets and Nets are playing Cavs. That's right, tonight. And the Cavs are just half a point under the spread, just losing to the Nets right now. They're beating the spread, but they're losing, of course. But let's look at the Thunder Spurs for a moment. So the Spurs are a 1.5 favorite against the Thunder, right? Now, that's going to be a wild ride between Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Victor Wembanyama. And it's just tied at one game apiece. So that's where we're at the moment, and it's all right there. And, we've got Maddox, Gridiron Garage, say what's up. VOCFB, Roll Tide Roll, and a Roll Tide Roll to you too, good buddy. And we've got Michigander in the chat. Say, what's up, Jackson? What's up, Michigander? Good to see you. We're glad to see you, good buddy. He is a loyal friend. Of course, no doubt, man. We always love it when Michigander comes in the chat. And we always love it when Maddox Gridiron Garage comes in the chat. That we should do. Smash that like button. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that you're going to be seeing coming your way on Alabama at the Voice of College Football. But, of course, there's been some coaches that have some questions about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, this from Athlon Sports, and this is what one of the coaches had to say. With whoever was going to follow Nick Saban, there's going to be a measuring stick on the toughness or the softness of the program. The run game statistics do not vouch for toughness. They have to fix that. Losing Ty Simpson does not help that, obviously. The top two running backs are gone. 3 of the top offensive linemen are gone. Wide receiver Jeremy Bernard, special player. Losing all of them doesn't allow people to play honest so that you can run the ball. People are going to be able to play high safeties, create multiple looks, and create issues for them. Double-digit point losses were never a thing under Saban. And this is what one of the other coaches said, say. Now they're a thing that creates concerns, talking points, narratives, which is tough to deal with because the players see it. Look, I get it. Alabama's had 4 double-digit losses in 2 seasons under Kalen DeBoer. Nick Saban, in the Saban era, in the 17 years he was there were 8 double-digit losses in that time. There wasn't a single double-digit loss in the 2007 season, his first year. I get it's not happy. I get that. But, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's see what 2026 will bring. Yes, he is going to come. No worries. Jeffrey is finishing his dinner. No worries. He is coming. But I will say, though, I am curious about the run game. That has just been one of the things that I've been really curious about. Because, I mean, Xavier Crowell is recovering from injury, right? But, he's looking to be healthy. He's all good. But also, the O-line has been the question. Now, that's been a giant concern. And Coach Kaplivic, when he was the offensive line coach for Alabama 2024 and 2025, you're always seeing a lot of sacks and just a lot of just disaster all over the place in the offensive line. And, some people, they were kind of like, is Coach Kaplivic ever going to get fired? He's ever going to get fired? Well, I think DeBoer just kind of pulled an Andy Taylor, was like, okay, we're going to play it calm, cool, collective, but we're going to tell him, yeah, you got to go. You've been allowing a lot of sats, bud. And luckily, he found Adrian Clem as the Nets offensive line coach. I think that should get rid of some of those concerns of whether you're going to see, a lack of toughness or not. I think you're going to see a lot more toughness for Alabama from the trenches. I think Alabama's going to be fine for 2026. No worries. It's going to be better in 2025. And that's the best part about being down. The way to go is up. Like, I know, like last season, Alabama got smacked by Indiana in the Rose Bowl. That sucked, of course. You got smacked by Florida State. Nobody should be getting smacked by a Florida State team not having a good year. But I kind of feel like Florida State, but obviously everybody knew that, like, Florida State put all their energy on one game. They didn't put all their energy on Virginia. They didn't put all their energy on Pittsburgh. That should tell you something. Everybody brings their A game against the Alabama Crimson Tide, and people still storm the field when they beat Bama. Now, I've said this a lot of times. When you see people stop storming the field every time they upset a ranked Alabama, that's where you see things going down. If you see which I don't think you're going to see Kentucky upset Bama, but if you did this season, I bet you the kingdom come, everybody in Lexington, Kentucky will be storming that field. You think they're not? No. That means Alabama's still living free in a lot of people's heads. All that stuff about Alabama's dead. No. They're going to be rising. No worries. 2026 is going to be really good. 2027 is going to be better. 2028, that's going to be a really good year right there. So no worries. Don't worry about what some of these coaches have to say. They're just trying to get under Alabama's skin. That's what they're doing. And agree. 100%. Lexington would burn to the ground. It would definitely burn to the ground. Like all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's what you're going to say. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's like, you remember when Coach Saban was coaching Alabama, every time somebody upset Alabama, they stormed the field. Like Vanderbilt, they stormed the field when they upset Bama in DeBoer's first year. They did. And honestly, you're not going to see those teams stop. I mean, you shouldn't expect Oklahoma to storm the field if they beat Bama. You should not be expecting a Notre Dame to do that. You should not be expecting Georgia to do that. No. Now, like when you saw like USC storming the field over upsetting Stanford 2013, yeah, you were pretty happy about it if you're a USC fan. But the thing was, should you really be storming the field if you beat Stanford? That's the thing. I 100% agree. The offensive line is the main concern for 2026 for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's see what Racing Delgatti brings for us. I think he's going to bring a lot of magic. There he is. There's Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Doing good, Jackson. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just looking at some of these anonymous coaches just talking about the major toughness questions, the lack of toughness they think Alabama's got. I mean, I get it. It's not real high. But I mean, teams still storm the field every time they're beating Bama. But I mean, when you see that stop, that's when you know it's really downhill. So that's kind of where I'm at. And we got a 99-cent super sticker from Caden the Diesel Freak, which we will take his call just a little bit. But I want to get your take on all this, Jeffrey. Like looking at these quotes about whoever was going to follow Saban, there's going to be a measuring stick on the toughness or the softness and all that. And the run game statistics don't vouch for that toughness, obviously, which, I mean, I totally get the stats. I mean, it's just a disaster. I totally get that. And our top two bats are gone. Three of the top offensive linemen are gone, but, you know, we bulked up on offensive line. I'm liking where we're at. And Bernard's gone. And I understand this part about how like the double-digit points were never a thing under Coach Saban, and now that they're a thing, and it creates concern, talking points, and narrative, which is tough to deal with because the players see it. But you know, 4 double digits under, you know, Coach DeBoer, that's not good. And I mean, if we're having more double-digit loss, then yeah, I'll panic a little bit. So I mean, it's like there you go. But what did you think about those quotes, man?
Well, I mean, it did definitely showcases, I mean, the national, trend that people are noticing that Alabama is declining. It was such a high standard that Alabama had under Nick Saban that it's pretty much unreachable again. I mean, you never know. There could be a coach eventually somewhere, it could be at Alabama, it could be at another school that has the type of run Nick Saban had. I'm not saying that it isn't going to happen ever again, but what Nick Saban achieved at Alabama is incredible. There's a reason why he, surpassed, Bear Bryant basically in most people's opinion as the best coach of all time, which, didn't seem feasible when Bear Bryant did what he did. So the thing is that obviously, we all knew that the moment Nick Saban retired, that Alabama probably was not going to be the same. There was no way Alabama could be the same. But now that you're seeing Alabama post Nick Saban for a couple seasons, you're seeing, I don't even want to say the cracks show. It's just Alabama's not what they were under Nick Saban. They're not going 13-1, 14-0, 12-2, 13-2, whatever, and winning national championships every other year. And, looking like a team, even when they don't win it all, that, hey, they were like probably the best team or the second best team that didn't win it all. You're just seeing Alabama be more human. You're seeing Alabama be more beatable. We're talking about games against Vanderbilt as tricky. Nick Saban lost to Ole Miss. Nick Saban lost to Mississippi State. We had those losses, but they were rare.
Yeah.
Now they're common. We've lost to Florida State. We've lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma and Michigan in the bowl game, and we got completely blown the brakes off by Indiana, which, I mean, that game in and of itself is such a role reversal. In college football, you're taking a program that was historically the worst in the Power Four, and they beat the best program in college football, or at least one of the top 2 or 3 college football programs of all time, by 35 points in the Rose Bowl. Obviously Indiana went on to win the national title, but that showed you that Alabama was not even anywhere close to being a national championship contender. We kind of talked ourselves into it a little bit last year, with the run they had in the middle of the season. But after they lost to Oklahoma at home, and then they lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game, and then they lost to Indiana, it kind of showcased that, yeah, this team is not anywhere near, national championship contender. And Nick Saban pretty much had, Alabama as a national championship contender every single year after 2009. So it's just people realizing that Alabama's not the same because they weren't going to be. It pretty much would have been impossible. I mean, DeBoer, I think most people agree, and I don't want to speak for everybody because obviously there's going to be people that disagree, but I think most people agree that DeBoer was probably about the best hire they could have made. I mean, you got to remember again, you had Norvell in there. I mean, Norvell was a legitimate candidate at the time. I mean, that was a major.
Thank God Alabama didn't
that
get
one, right?
him.
So it's like you had Norvell, you had Lane Kiffin, which obviously I think a lot of Alabama fans are glad they didn't get Lane Kiffin after what just occurred with LSU. Nothing to say that Lane Kiffin's not a great coach, but that's, leaves a bad taste for a lot of people. I'm just saying that like DeBoer was probably the best candidate available, or one of the best. So it's not like they hired a bad guy. It's just Alabama is more beatable. They don't look the same. And it's how they're losing. It's how they're playing. It's how they're performing. The talent's still there. We just had 8 guys go pro, right? Was 8 guys got drafted.
Mm-hmm.
We're still having first-round draft picks. That streak hasn't ended. Alabama's still winning big games. They're still nationally relevant. They're still in the playoff conversation. It's not like Alabama's falling off a cliff. You're going to have problems if you reach Clemson territory. We're not anywhere near Clemson territory.
No.
So Alabama in that regard is fine. But, it's just they're more vulnerable. We're talking about 9-3 and 10-2 is records, that Alabama's probably going to have instead of, oh, yeah, we're going to go 11-1, 12-0. They're just more beatable. And the way that we used to win, being dominant on defense and pounding the ball on the ground, even though later on in Saban's tenure we were more pass heavy, the fact that Alabama cannot run the football at all is just so anti-Alabama that it's just jarring for people. I mean, you got to realize anybody over the age of 10 that's watched football, it has known Alabama as a dominant ground team. We've had some of the best running backs ever. Obviously there's other programs that can boast being running back but Alabama's had some really good running backs. My whole entire life they've had great running backs. And last year they couldn't even run the football. So it just Alabama's not doing what Alabama does anymore. They had to change under Saban. Early Saban in 2009 is not the same as 2021 Alabama. No. It changed dramatically because times were different. You had to open up the offense. You had to change the way you play. But Alabama's just not doing anything like they did under Nick Saban. And I don't think it's even possible because DeBoer's a different guy. And he is leading the program in a different direction. But at the end of the day, nobody cares about that as long as they're winning. Alabama's just not winning enough right now. And the losses that they're suffering are not losses that fans accept. They're not accepting 38-3 loss to Indiana. They're not accepting losses to Vanderbilt and Florida State. So that's the thing. I look at it that there is a major toughness problem for Alabama, but I would argue that major toughness is actually everywhere. I think that you can argue that for every single program in college football. Indiana is an outlier. I don't know if it'll ever happen again, but that team was tough.
I tell you what,
and Signetti was able to get those guys to buy in and play hard and win that championship, even though they weren't 5-stars and talented, and a lot of those guys didn't even get drafted. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, all these programs have a toughness problem. Georgia's program, even though they might be better than us right now on the field, off the field, they're way worse.
They got a I need to stay out of jail problem.
Yeah, I mean, so I think a lot of programs, you can argue these major programs have a toughness problem. I just think that Alabama kind of eluded that for so long, and now they're not. So,
well, obviously, what really led up to Alabama just kind of going downhill those last few years of the Saban era was we didn't have the strength and coordinating coach, Scott Cochran. That's where it really hurt us, where he left Alabama for Georgia after 2019. Like that 2020 season was an awesome year, but I mean, it was a COVID season. But after that, we were always in a tight game those last 3 years. Not having Cochran really hurt Alabama. That is for sure.
I just don't know if it's much of a DeBoer problem, though. I mean, I don't want to just pass the buck, but I mean, I don't think a lot of it is DeBoer. I just think it is the way college football is right now. That as a coach, it is very difficult to get your team, to play at a high level, game in and game out, and be disciplined. That the word discipline is it's an interesting concept. A lot of people think of discipline in different ways, But when it comes to a football team, it's about preparing day after day, locked in. There was a joke. I don't know if you saw, like, there was a joke with Fernando Mendoza where it was like, oh, he's not like heavy on social media, and he's not really like, he's not doing like Carson Beck with like Cavender, and stuff like that. My point, he's focused on football. Now whether he works out in the NFL or not, that's to be determined. But for college football, that guy was locked in. His main focus was on winning football games, and it showed. A lot of these other players, they're distracted, and I'm not saying that hasn't been the case for decades. I mean, obviously, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I'm sure there's always been players distracted by other college things, and you can't blame them. But now that you've added NIL to the mix, and you've got these players being millionaires, and again, I'm not against players making money. I'm not. But it's creating more distractions. I mean, you're seeing it at Georgia. I mean, they're buying cars that are really nice. Some players are, and then they're getting in trouble in those cars. Not all of them are. I mean, it's not like every single player. I mean, I make Georgia sound like the worst program ever. But it's not like every single player for Georgia is doing these things. They're not. But a significant portion of their players are, which is problematic for Georgia's image. But I mean, that has to hurt on the field. It's because these players are not locked in. Alabama, like, thankfully, they're not having as many problems as Georgia, and hopefully never will. But we've had our fair share of issues. I mean, the Holloway thing. There's, like I said, this type of stuff has happened decades ago, but you're just not seeing as many coaches now that are seemingly able to get their players to buy in, game in and game out, day after day, that the team is first. Obviously certain things in life come first, family, friends, all that stuff. But I mean, football team, you're playing football, you're locked in as a team. Every single one of those 100 players, or however 85, 100, 120, however many players are on the team, walk on scholarships, all that type of stuff. However many players are on your football team, every single one, all the way down to the lowest guy on the depth chart, is balled in. I felt like Indiana actually had that last year. I really do. And I agree with Michigander that, him being from the Nick Saban coaching tree, really had something to do with it. I mean, you're just, but the thing is, think about Kirby and all these other coaches were from the Nick Saban tree. But somehow Signetti was able to get his team to buy in. And I don't think these other coaches are. I don't think it's just DeBoer. It's not just DeBoer. Kirby Smart's having issues. I mean, I'm not saying Ron Day's having issues, but did everybody, like, did it seem like every single game Ohio State was locked in?
No.
As good as they were, as talented as Ohio State was, they had some great performances last year, but were they balled in every game? Like, yeah, Indiana had the Penn State game where they kind of were struggling, but Penn State played very hard in that game. But I felt like Indiana, every single game, at least they were trying out there. I don't see that. Like, Alabama is just not doing that. It's a shame, but I just don't think whether they hired DeBoer or Kiffin or anybody, I don't think it mattered. I think that Alabama, the issue is that the type players that they're bringing in is the same type of guys that Nick Saban would have gotten. But Nick Saban was able to get more out of them. We're just not getting as much out of these guys. And I don't know if hardly any coach out there, I'm not saying none, but hardly any coach out there can do it. I don't think it's just an Alabama problem. I don't. I think you're seeing it everywhere. Every one of these major programs are having issues, just different type of issues. That's a long-winded way to say, yes, Alabama does have a toughness problem. Yes, but a lot of these programs are having a toughness problem. I'm not saying that to excuse Alabama, but I just think it's undeniable across the sport.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. And we did have a question from Matt. It's Gridiron Garage asking us about the thoughts on LSU hiring Coach Orgeron. Now, that was funny. I figured that was going to happen at some point. Not a matter of if, but when. But whether we were going to see Lane Kiffin and Ed Orgeron reunite, I mean, I'm surprised that didn't happen at Ole Miss, to be honest. I mean, it's not like Ed Orgeron did. I mean, I know he was a disaster at Ole Miss, but I mean, you don't fire Cutcliffe after one bad year, but that's just me. But what did you think about it when you heard about it, Jeffrey?
I mean, it's not the most significant thing in the world. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's kind of like Gary Patterson returning to coaching after TCU, and he's just doing some odds and ends and stuff. It just kind of feels like that. Like he's getting hired back into the program. Like there's no hard feelings or whatever. He's an LSU guy through and through. It's undeniable. Yeah. Like it's going to help the locker room probably. It's going to help like the team and the culture at LSU. But I mean, it's not the most significant thing in the world. But I think it's cool. I mean, for LSU. I mean, I got nothing against Coach O. I mean, I've said a lot of negative stuff about LSU because of what they did with Kiffin and then Will Wade. I think a lot of people agree. It kind of makes LSU look not good, but at least when it comes to Ed O, I mean, I think a lot of people like him. I think that's a morale boost for LSU at the very least. It's not the most significant thing, but it can't hurt. Like it's gonna help PR. It's gonna help morale. Because I mean, I don't even think LSU fans dislike him. No one really dislikes Ed O. I don't really know anybody that doesn't like him. I mean, I even know people that aren't LSU fans that were like, why do they fire him? I mean, he wasn't a guy that people really wanted fired. It's just, they fired him because, they won and then they didn't. So it's like, all right. But it's cool for LSU. So it's good for
them. Man, it was pretty cool, but it's all. I'm hoping to see him at a press conference this year where he just kind of goes, "Go Tigers." I mean, it's like.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like I said, he's an LSU type of guy through and through. The culture, everything. It's a complete antithesis of Brian Kelly. So again, it's good for Coach O and LSU.
I want to see if he's gonna wear like a Fred Flintstone costume, for a costume party. Because I mean, he does kind of look like a Cajun Fred Flintstone. Lane Kiff is too much of a dick to look like a Barney Rubble. Now, but anyway, we got our first.
People always say like the Flintstones movie in the 90s. If you ever watched that Rick Moranis was the best cast character. He's the best cast person for the.
Oh yeah, because Rick Moranis had blonde hair. And
I mean it worked. I mean he was probably the best casting of all the four major characters. But. Yeah, I mean, I definitely Lane Kiffin would not.
You're catching us talking about some random movies on a Thursday night because, I mean, hey, we're bored. It's 107 days until kickoff. We got plenty of time to kill with all of you. Give us your topics that you want to talk about with us, ladies and gentlemen. And we got our first caller of the night. He's a hell-raising, Mountain Dew drinking, well.
He was formerly reformed for a bit as Hollywood Caden, but now he's back to Mountain Dew land again, so.
Hey, maybe he'll have a Netflix reboot, so who knows? So I'll be watching for maybe they'll make a cartoon about him. Give it up for Cade the Diesel Freak. How are you tonight, good buddy?
Well, Jackson, what do you expect? It's me, Cade the Diesel Freak. What do you expect?
Oh yeah. Well, having a lot of fun, man. Like 100 days till week 0. 107 days till kick.
Till we kick everybody's butt and we started off. I mean, it's nothing new to me. It's just business. As I say, it's just business.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations to Jeffrey for coming back and talking about the Crimson Tide and then his Indiana Hoosiers who just won the national championship. I mean, this plays out not really well, but yeah, whatever.
Well, what's on your mind tonight, good buddy?
Well, besides everything else that's been going on this league, and May just being one of them months, I tell you. May is just being one of them months.
I will say, that's what Major League Baseball is for, and you got the NBA.
Major League Baseball. I've been watching the corn pop out of the ground since I first got it. Since I got the first acre planted back in late March, early April.
There you go. Nice.
Put seed in the ground. That's all it is to it.
There you go, man.
Just waiting on this rain to pass us so we can start getting extra nitrogen in the ground so we can get it fertilized.
There you go. Well, are you ready to go preseason magazine shopping when it gets to early June?
I probably ain't gonna buy any magazines. The only magazines I particularly buy, if I buy any, well, I bought. I think. Yeah, that's not the right magazine. I'm probably just gonna buy parts I'm probably just gonna get the annual parts magazine I get from the local IH dealer, but that's pretty much it.
Jeffrey, you got any questions for Caden tonight?
Is he interested in any other game in college football besides Alabama, Ohio State in 2027? Is there any other game you're looking forward to or want to watch?
I mean, it'd have to be Ohio State, Texas, obviously.
I mean, anything besides Ohio State, even like, is there any other game? Like we're Alabama fans, obviously, but we watch other teams and we get excited about other games as well. So.
Jeffrey, hold on. There's two games in my mind I want to see a rematch of. Two games that Ohio State needs to have rematches for. And no, it isn't Alabama. That's coming soon. This season, I want both Miami and Georgia in the playoffs. Miami got one up on us now. Now it's our turn to return the favor. And Georgia, you owe us 42-41, and you know we would blow your doors off afterwards if that field goal went through.
Well,
so I would say Ohio State, Georgia in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, if you got enough Georgia players going through a hangover, I think you're definitely going to have a good chance to beat them by 3 touchdowns or something like that.
Well, and then particularly Ohio State, Miami. That's what needs to come back and happen. Because Coach Michael Urban, Ray Lewis, Jason Taylor, give you boys credit. You boys are some bad boys up in there. But you got to remember, we were the team that beat y'all for the 02 national championship. Give you credit. You guys had the late great Sean Taylor. Rest in peace. Good buddy. But when we come back and we play y'all in the national championship round, whether it's the actual national championship or it's in the Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, it don't matter. We're going to see you boys back, and we're going to give you the fight. And we're going to bring it to you, boys. Because we did it last year. We're going to do it again this year. So I'm looking forward to Miami, Ohio State, number 3.
Well, we've got our NASCAR waiting in the line. Any last message you want to send out for the night?
Well, Jackson, to the next caller, good luck topping what I've got to say now. Because I'm not a superstar. I'm a war machine. I'm the baddest Buckeye walking on this planet. And the Michigander and all them jokers, see you in November because it's going to be a cold day in hell. And I promise you this, when it comes, and time's ticking, boys, when it comes, the gates of hell are going to open up on you punks. And I swear to you, it's just going to be another day of them boys kicking your teeth down your throat and busting you wide open with them soup bowls. And I ain't talking about the actual bowls. I'm talking about some pits. Making you busted wide open. Bleeding all over Columbus. Good, that's what I want to see. And for the love of God, Jackson, to add a little bit.
Okay.
Alabama, Ohio State, Columbus. Oh, I want to see Keelan Russell get busted by the defense. I mean, smack, left, right, up, down, and center on that football field.
So you want to see the equivalent of what Caden Curry did to Fernando Mendoza at the beginning of the Big Ten championship game last year, where then Fernando Mendoza got right back up and beat y'all. So is that what you're talking about? Because I would be perfectly fine with seeing that type of, play where Ohio State thinks they got Keelan Russell, but then they don't. And then Keelan Russell goes out there and wins. That would be great, but.
Yeah, Jeffrey, that's not what I'm particularly meaning.
I know, but you know.
Oh man.
I'm particularly saying that we kick your butts up, down, left, and right, and center. And Keelan Russell, he's gonna get so rattled, he ain't gonna be able to stand after he leaves the horseshoe. Because when I say this to anybody, you walk into the horseshoe, you play the toughest defense in the nation, you know it's going to be 60 minutes of physical football with no excuses. You know that Jeffrey Jackson knows that, and that dummy named Michigander, yeah, he knows that. Them Wolverines got whooped in the horseshoe for over 20 years. And to be particularly honest, I do enjoy watching those guys beat the crap out of opponents. And I don't apologize about it. That's just me. That's just me. I like old school football. And
there you go.
I'll say that the boys at Miami, give them credit. Give them credit. And Reuben Bain Jr., I hope the Tampa Bay Buccaneers give him the biggest contract since Ray Lewis with the
Caden, we're going to get to our next callers. We got a Pat line waiting, and we'll see you soon, man.
Jackson, hold on. Who's the next caller?
We'll see you soon, man.
Jackson, come on.
Okay, yeah. We got to get to our next caller.
He's just still Jackson. He just ended.
All right. Well, we've got two guys coming in. We've got an old friend who is back in red, Richie Rich, and we've got another good buddy joining us, Sports Talking Austin. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
Go.
Oh man, long time no see you, Richie Rich. How have you been, good buddy?
Brother, I've been doing so well. I'm sorry I've missed you guys for the last few months. I've been just busting out this TikTok, and I don't know if you guys remember Tony Mandrich that played back in the day for Michigan State, but I got to meet Tony on TikTok, so I'm on with him every single day. But I'm happy to see you guys. I got a few comments I want to make on, a few things when you guys give me an opportunity.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
Austin, how have you been, good buddy?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I mean, this topic, I know Richie's got some things to say, and I've got some things on it, but since he's the Bama guy, I would love to hear his input on this. Because I have my take from an outsider perspective that I think might be enlightening or might not be. I don't know. But go ahead. I want to hear your all's first before I give my take.
Well,
Austin, you can ask your question whenever they give you the floor, then I can comment on it because I'd love to hear what you have a question on.
Well, I've been really curious about the toughness on Alabama because we've been hearing a lot about it from a few of these coaches on Athlon Sports. And I know double-digit losses aren't exactly the norm, but still though.
Get in the studio.
Yeah, and the offensive line, how are you feeling about it heading into the offseason right now?
Who was that a question for?
For you, Richie.
Okay, cool. So I'll start off by saying this. Basically what I'm gonna say, and then I can answer Austin your questions and your guys in a second. I think this has to be a marked improvement from what Chris Lopich had last year. Because after the Indiana game, I don't know if you guys know Coach Siski, but Siski did a live, and everybody went nuts in there and said, oh, Grubb's got to go, and, it was funky. And I said that somebody was going to get a look at after this season based on, what went down and the way it went down. And the first guy they gave a look to was Chris Kolopich, the O-line guy. Now, there was also no running game last year, so you have to factor that in as well. So when everybody now starts asking me talk of who's the quarterback, I don't have an answer whether it's Mac or Russell right now because to me, you haven't established how good of an O-line is it going to be and do you have a complement to your game? Because if you don't have a complement to your game, it doesn't matter which quarterback goes out there and plays. You're going to have the same consistency that you had last year and the year before with Milroe where the running game was weak. And so I think with Coach Clem coming in, it's got to be a marked improvement. It just has to be a marked improvement.
Yeah, I mean, like Coach Clem obviously has a humongous history with what he's done throughout programs for college football, and he's got a great history in the NFL where he's won some Super Bowls as a player. And I've really been impressed with what he did with SMU under June Jones from 08 to 2011. I was really impressed with him taking a huge part in that UCLA turnaround from 2012 to 2016. So that was huge. Because, I mean, like, it played a huge role in UCLA contending for the Pac 12. And you had Oregon having the best O line in college football in 2022, thanks to Clem. And USC had a good O line despite just coming up short against Illinois, getting smacked by Notre Dame, and getting smacked by Oregon, and just allowing a touchdown third long to lose against TCU. But still, though, that had nothing to do with the O line because, like, the O line was amazing for USC last year. That was thanks to Adrian Clem. And the fact that you got Adrian Clem as your new O line coach makes me feel pretty good about where Alabama's heading for 2026.
Well, the other thing too that I was going to add on is, and all these talks of, because we all know, and I never got to share it yet. DeBoer got the contract extension, and we were talking about it on one of the lives in the morning. Is DeBoer got the extension because everybody that was chirping at Jimmy Sexton in the background that was like, "Oh, bring DeBoer over here." Like, there's no question that DeBoer was offered by Michigan before Kyle Witt got the job. There's no question, but the problem is Bama didn't want to be known to lose a guy that never got to really show his potential. And I feel like this is going to be a very, very good season for the program. And I think everyone should be in for a treat if the running game comes to play. Now, I'm so high on E.J. Crowell. I think the kid is special. He's won the state championships in Jackson to prove it. He's got a really good history of his dad was in the league, so he knows what it takes. And he and the coaches vouch for him, and the program likes him. But for the program too, besides the O line deal, to say that you're able to get the last 4 to 5 star quarterbacks, you landed Jet Tamala 5-star, you landed Elijah Haven 5-star, you landed Trent Seaborn from give me 1 second, from Thompson 4-star, and then you got Ty Simpson, that's a 5-star to play for you that never switched up, even when Saban left. I think that says big things for what the program's doing too. So, but I do have a question for both you and Jeffrey on this one. Indiana. So Indiana just won the championship. Always want to know, can Hoover bring it back, or do you think it was a 1-year deal? And then real quick, I think it's a major step in the right direction for LSU bringing in Coach O. I heard what you guys said. That's a great take. Love O. He has that raspy Cajun accent. He knows the culture, and everybody just loves what he brings to the table. I don't think it's going to be a disappointment.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be fun seeing Ed O back at Baton Rouge. That's going to be a fun ride where he and Lane Kiffin are going to be making magic together in the recruiting trail. But, the question will be, can it result to championships for LSU? That's going to be the major question for the Tigers.
On the Indiana question, I mean, it's really tough to say because I think that it was the perfect storm for Indiana to win the entire thing. A lot of the big programs didn't do that well. I mean, Georgia flamed out, Alabama was down, Ohio State got beat. I'm not saying like Indiana beat really good teams. They beat Oregon, they beat Alabama, they beat Ohio State. They beat a lot of really good programs. So it's, they beat Miami to win it all. It's not like they didn't do anything, but like these other really good programs were kind of down. And plus, I just felt, I've said it all year, it felt like Indiana wanted it more. I said that if Indiana was going to win it all, then they had to keep playing with that mentality, which they successfully achieved. They did it for 16 straight games. They played hard. I mean, they made Alabama look like they just didn't care about playing football. I mean, Indiana just flat out destroyed them. And it wasn't a talent basis. Again, both programs had 8 players drafted. Indiana Most of their guys were drafted in the late rounds. Alabama still had, quality guys going to the NFL. So it wasn't a talent problem. Alabama had more talent in my mind by far. It's just Indiana wanted it more. Can they do it again? Yeah, they could do it again if a lot of the same things happen. Like Hoover's got a hit just like Mendoza did. The defense can't regress. I mean, they lost Pond, they lost Fisher, they lost Camara. Those are like the ultimate program guys. The people talk about the James Madison guys. Now that the James Madison guys are gone, the team isn't going to be any good. I don't agree with that. I think Indiana's going to be very good. I mean, if I had to, if I had to literally like put money on it, I probably would say they're not going to win it all again. I think the schedule is arguably tougher, even though it was tougher than last year. Everything's got to go right. Like you have to have Charlie Becker and Nick Marsh be just as good as Cooper and Surratt. Like even though both Charlie Becker and Nick Marsh are getting first round love right now in the draft, like these way too early draft rankings. I mean, Surratt was drafted in the 4th round. Cooper was late first, but he wasn't always thought to be that. That catch against Penn State really catapulted him up. You've got to have those guys be just as good, game in and game out. They might be better. I mean, Becker and Marsh could be better. But I mean, Ohio State has won national championships with less talented receivers. You know what I mean? Like Alabama's done it. So it's like you could have more talented receivers and not win. I mean, Ohio State had Jeremiah Smith. Ohio State's had Jackson Smith and Jigba. Ohio State's had all these guys, and they've gone so many years falling short. So, that's not necessarily indicative that, Indiana's got better receivers this year, therefore they should win it all again. That's not necessarily how that works.
Well,
and again, Hoover, like, people underestimate sometimes still how good Fernando Mendoza was last year. Like, he was surgical. Whether he does that in the NFL or not, again, everybody's calling him a bust already, which I think is hilarious. Like, he's going to be a bust. He's going to suck. I don't know if he's going to suck or not. He absolutely could. But for this past season in college football, he was by far the best quarterback. By far. Yeah, I mean, once Simpson flamed out second half of the season, which wasn't entirely his fault, and you had other guys like Mateer get hurt, and then Marcel Reed fell apart, and Arch Manning wasn't ready, and Aller and Klubnik and Sellers and all those Lagway didn't do good. Sayin was too young. Pavia tried, but you had all these guys that just kind of sucked. Mendoza was just leagues and away better. Barely made any mistakes. Throws were perfect. It's just Hoover is not Mendoza because for one, he's more turnover prone, historically than Mendoza was, and he's shorter. And I just don't know if it's gonna, he's gonna be as good. He could be just as good because we've seen Cignetti have insane success with quarterbacks. But all that being said, I think Indiana might be a little worse next year, but only because last year they were so good that I don't know if they can do that again. And number two, you might have some of these other teams be better. Ohio State, even though they, were great last year, they might be better next year. Or Texas, this might finally be their year that Texas is actually Texas, like they're supposed to be, but, maybe not. But, they have a shot. They're definitely, in my opinion, at max, they're going to lose one too. I don't think Indiana's going to drop off that far. But to win it again, in this era, to win back-to-back championships is very, very hard. It'd be very difficult to do anyway, especially with Indiana's build of their team because they still don't have these 5 stars. They don't have the best talent. Like they brought in, they do have better players than they used to, but they're still overall they got a lot more guys from mid majors and 3-star guys than they have guys that are going to be first round talent. So that's going to be hard to do that again. But I think with Cignetti and company, they'll be very dangerous again next year. But probably I would say more likely than not they don't win it all.
Well, and real fast, I want to say this too. The last team to repeat was Georgia. I think it's going to be a long time before we see that again. Those were historic teams. Because like you all were saying, we know how hard it is to repeat in the NFL, and college is just as hard because you have to reload. Those were 2 special teams. And whether we like it or not, Georgia had 2 of maybe the greatest defenses they could have ever asked for. And a good enough offense, just enough to sustain. So for Indiana to repeat, that would be rare feat if they could do that.
For sure. But Richie, anything else you got for us tonight, good buddy?
Yeah, I was gonna say that Austin makes a great point because in the NFL, Seattle just won the Super Bowl, right? They got rid of, I think, a mistake in Kenneth Walker. He's now with the Chiefs. Now, I don't know what happened, but I told someone one morning on live, I said, you got to think about it like this. Now they got to repeat. They're going to have to get the next running back, which is if they didn't bring somebody in, Charbonnet or whoever they bring in to be just like Kenneth Walker and be on the same level. That's why I like that call out you made, Jeffrey, on Becker and the other guy. It's like both of them, Marsh, they have to be on the same level as those guys over there. It's like the same thing I say about Miami is Darian Minson is going to have to be on the same level as Carson Beck if they want to get back to, a championship or back to the finals. That's just the way I see it. Same thing with Hoover. Hoover's going to have to play the exact same football, if not a little bit better than Fernando, to be able to repeat with Indiana. And I just don't see it. And after Sonny Dykes made that statement that he's turned the ball over 40 times, it's like that's just I feel like that should scare folks to hear that because the Cal coaches weren't saying that for Fernando when he got the gig at Indiana. They weren't going, oh, be careful, Fernando's prone to throw the ball away. It's like, and it really bothers me to say this, but I'll say it again. It's amazing that Auburn exposed the culture of two quarterbacks. They found out who Pavia was playing against Auburn, and they found out who Fernando was playing against Auburn. So it was two teams that really figured out, hey, we actually may have somebody here, and it is what it is. And then finally, Nussmeier regressed last year too. Of course, I think that was a bit of Brian Kelly's fault playing him hurt. And in the Vanderbilt game, I even said it. I said, I think this kid's hurt. And I think he's going to continue to be hurt if Kelly doesn't let him nurse that injury. But, it is what it is. I think we're going to be in for a treat this year, and it's only up from here.
Oh, yeah.
And two, I want to say to that too real fast is you see a lot of this, like Stetson Bennett, right? A lot of people rag on him. I know Jackson, Jeffrey, and me have all said something about him, but he truly is what you want in a quarterback. Like you were mentioning the turnovers. That was kind of Ty Simpson's problem there at the beginning, where he was turning the ball over just a little too much. And then he got it together and they were like, okay, let's manage this. Let's not try to go for the chuck it all ball because we got Ryan Williams. Let's not do that. And that's kind of what Stetson Bennett was. He was good enough where he had a great run game, which didn't help Simpson. But it's one of them. If Signetti can get a run game and make sure Hoover doesn't throw it, if he throws 10 picks, Indiana will be in good shape. But if he throws 15, 20, it's going to look like Jameis Winston when he was in Tampa, and it's going to be ugly.
Absolutely, I can agree with that, and that's why to piggyback off of that, that's why when Winston tried to get his extension or another contract with Tampa Bay, they looked at him and said, "You went 30 for 30. We're good. We'll move on." And that's when other teams were calling because they knew he was a serviceable quarterback in the league, but he wasn't. What they thought he was his first little bit. And see, Tampa gave him 5 seasons to prove it. As a Tampa fan, I can comment on that. He took 5 seasons for the guy to realize. Same thing with Josh Freeman. It took 5-6 seasons to realize you're just not that good. You're trying to be the face of Tampa Bay and you're not. And I agree with that too. It's going to base on Indiana's performance of, is Hoover really the guy, or was it just a historic season with Pons and Surratt and Mendoza? It's like these other guys have to be on the same level. And you're exactly right, Austin. Georgia had a really, really good 2 seasons of outstanding ball, and you can thank Kirby Smart for that. The only difference is in Stetson Bennett now that he's in the pros, I don't think he's going to pan out but being a cheap backup quarterback to somebody, only because if I've studied his game enough to see him in the pocket, and when you really have to get him in the pocket, not being able to door dash it doesn't work. And scheme quarterbacks have a hard time panning out in the NFL unless you're like lucky enough like Hurts or Lamar because you have a good O-line to back you up. It's like I said last year with Florida State. you're banking on another scheme quarterback in Castellano. Same thing with Pavia. You know, you're tailoring your game to one deal. It's like switch it up. But, you know, I think the guys are talented because they made the league and stranger things are happening. So we'll see what happens. But that's all my thoughts I had for the night, fellas.
Oh man, glad to see you back, good buddy. Glad you called in, man. It's awesome as always when you call in,
Appreciate it, you guys.
and you're always welcome to come back in anytime you want, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think Ty's going to do well in the NFL. I do. Going to give him a chance to learn under a great quarterback in Stafford. I really do. I don't think that was a bad pick either. I think they did what they knew they had to do.
Oh, it was the best pick.
I don't think that banking on Stetson Bennett for the long run or Jimmy Garoppolo is your answer. I mean, Garoppolo's up there in football age, and to me, Stetson Bennett is Stetson Bennett. I've seen him in preseason games and things like that. He can play, but he can also show you he can't play too.
I think Stetson Bennett was. I mean, I hate to say it, but for most people. Again, I don't speak for everybody because, you know, Georgia fans and some other people thought that he would be successful. I think most people, it was one of the most obvious, he's not going to work out in the NFL players ever. I mean, I remember saying when, like, the national championship season during the season, and everybody was starting to, like, hype him up for the draft. I was saying then, I'm like, he's not going to make it. I mean, at best, he can be your third-string quarterback. You know, I mean, that's great. You know, somebody's got to fill that spot. And I'm not saying that derogatorily because that still shows you that, hey, he's one of the 60 or 70 best quarterbacks in the world. You know, that they think that he's worthy of a third person on the depth chart on the roster. But just to me, I mean, he was not ever in my mind. And for a lot of people felt the same way that I knew watching him. He was going to be in the NFL. I mean, it was an unlikely story that he went from walk-on to starter. He beat out some quarterbacks, had some injury help along the way. Obviously, you know, Georgia had a couple other guys that at that time, probably if they were healthy, they would have been the guy then. You know, their careers didn't pan, and then Stetson Bennett got the crack at it. And he did good with what he had. He had the best team in college football around him those years, and he did it. He made it work and won it all. And that's fantastic. It's great for him. It's great for Georgia. But he was not an NFL quarterback. Never was, never will be. Unfortunately, his physical limitations are just – I mean, Bryce Young can barely do it. And Bryce Young is not Stetson Bennett. Just, you know what I'm saying? He's not. Like, Bryce Young is more capable. But he has severe limitations that the Panthers have to work around just to even make it work. And they are building a team around him, and they're getting better. But guys like Kyler Murray, you know, Bryce Young – I mean, Russell Wilson was a completely different archetype, and he made it work. But, I mean, you're talking Stetson Bennett worked on the best team in college football. If Stetson Bennett had played for Indiana when they had Tom Allen, you know, and they were bad, they wouldn't have done anything. Like, he was on the exact situation. It wasn't like Jaden Daniels where he was on a really bad LSU team, and Jaden Daniels made that team go 8-5 because he was so good. You know, like, I'm just saying, like, Stetson Bennett worked because of the team he was on, and he made some good throws, and he'll live on in history of college football. But that's it. I mean, there's nothing past that. Like, it's a great story. It's amazing. I mean, I'm not a Georgia fan, and I was proud of Stetson Bennett. Like, people were like, oh, you're anti-Stetson. I'm not anti-Stetson Bennett. You're telling me this guy's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer. You're telling me this guy's going to be an NFL star. He's not. I wish he would. It'd be great. It'd be incredible, but it's just not happening. It's not going to.
Well, and plus, he was basically going to be sit like a duck waiting for Matthew Stafford to retire.
You cannot start him in the NFL.
No.
You just can't, unless your team is going to be bad. I mean, it's not feasible. Third string guys, fine. But, I mean, Brian Hoyer and so many quarterbacks in the third string. You just cannot – because I definitely want Austin to interject. I'm sure, you know, he'll, you know, probably talk good about Stetson because I know Austin likes Stetson Bennett, and that's absolutely fair. But he just isn't NFL starting quarterback material, no matter what he did in college. He's just not.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say this too, and I do have a question about with this topic here, but I want to interject on this. The Ohio State game, Jeffrey, we all remember it, right? Stetson Bennett made the throws in the corner of the end zone. Whether you think they should have won that game or lost, Stetson Bennett stepped up when it counted. And that was the game a lot of people said, he's going to be drafted in the first round, second round. He's the guy. He's a franchise leader. Look at what he did with his back to the wall. And I commend him. Like, that was one of the moments where I was like, you go, Stetson. Prove them doubters wrong. And I know, Jeffrey, you weren't convinced. You were like, you could throw anybody in that situation, the same thing would have happened. Like, you and Jackson.
I did not say that back then. I did not necessarily say that. I know what you mean, but I did not say that. But again, Stetson Bennett made some. I said this earlier even tonight. He made some good throws. He made some really good throws that a lot of people can't make, but he made them in a situation where the guy that he threw the ball to was going to catch it because he was a great receiver, and he was behind one of the best offensive lines in college football history. Alabama, Mac Jones is way better than Stetson Bennett, and Mac Jones still has issues because of the fact that Mac Jones got propped up at Alabama because he had Devontae Smith and he had the best offensive line that season. That was the last time Alabama had an elite offensive line in 2020, and that's the last time Alabama has won a national championship. No surprise. But that's why Stetson Bennett was able to make those throws. I mean, Fernando Mendoza was protected last year at Indiana, but he still had to improvise. He still had to escape. Stetson Bennett did escape sometimes, but it was more so just because it was like, all right, I can run a little bit. That's great. But it's like complaining that it felt like he was taking off too a lot of the time. Not more so like the offensive line was protecting him, but he was taking off because it's like, oh, crap, I can't get hit because he's like 5'9", 175. You know, if he gets hit, he's toast. You know what I mean? And that's just unfortunate. That's his archetype. You know, I mean, it's nothing against him at all. Again, great college player that made it work on a great team. But that's all he is. That's it. It's just there's no story past that point for him. He will forever be a backup in the NFL. And again, he's better than 99%. He made the walk-on success story work more so than almost anybody in history. But there's a reason he was walking. There's a reason why nobody wanted him out. Because you think about it. Even Fernando Mendoza, again, 6'5", whatever. But it's like he only had one offer from Yale. He was going to go to Yale because he's very smart, right? Then it's like, okay, Cal was like, all right, we'll take a chance on this dude. Even him, he was all the way down as a 2-star, but he still got picked by somebody. Stetson Bennett got picked by nobody at all. He was a walk-on for a reason. You know, I mean, like, I know there are walk-on stories at work, like Luke May at UNC at work. You know, he was a walk-on. And then Carolina, if everybody remembers Luke May in college basketball, I'm sure some people do.
Yeah,
but Luke May, he ended up starting eventually. He made that big shot against Kentucky. He ended up going pro, but he didn't really do that much. It's like, it's a great story. Like, everybody, I mean, I'm a Carolina fan of basketball. Luke May was amazing. Everybody was talking about Luke May. Nobody was talking about the rest of the team. We love stories like that. That's why I was upset people didn't like the Indiana story last year. It was amazing. An underdog story. It's great. I like Stetson Bennett. The only reason I started saying what I said about Stetson Bennett is when people started saying that he's going to be a first-round pick and that he's going to be the next franchise quarterback in the NFL. That's where I drew the line. That's where the line in the sand was for me. Because before that, I was sitting here like everybody else. Man, Stetson Bennett's an amazing story. Love the kid. He's doing a great job. What an insane story and all that. But then when people started going, it's the same thing with your Louisville Cardinals that year. Oh, Louisville's great. Wow, they beat Notre Dame. I was on board with them. But then people started saying, oh, Louisville's going to win it all. And Louisville's going to – I'm like, come on, man. I mean, it's a great story, but there's a point that's like you're taking it too far. The Stetson Bennett story ended with the Natty. It ended. It's done. You know, he's a backup in the NFL. He's not going to be a starter. He's not going to be a franchise quarterback. I mean, again, I got nothing against the guy. I wish he could be for his sake, but it's not happening. And that's what people were doing back then. It was ridiculous how much, not even just Georgia fans, people online saying that this guy is going to be the next Tom Brady. These comments existed online for no reason because he made a good throw and an Natty. That's great, man. But or playoff game, whatever. It's not telling you that this guy's going to be the next Brady. It's not possible.
I can sum that up too, real quick. It reminds me of Michigan with J.J. McCarthy. They tend to forget that story Remember the quarterback that started for him wasn't J.J. McCarthy. It was OK McNamara. And McNamara got hurt.
Yep.
J.J. had to step in for him. And they forget about that. And everybody said, oh, he's going to be the next thing. And then the Vikings end up bringing in Kyler Murray and shake it up. And they're like, oh, what happened? It's like J.J. happened. He wasn't playing well, even when he came back from the injury. And they had to do something because they didn't want to believe it. Same thing with old Trinidad and Austin Simmons. Trinidad would have never seen the field if Austin Simmons got hurt. I promise that. And I actually believe that Simmons is a tad bit better than Trinidad when he's healthy. Trinidad is one of those Diego Pavia kind of quarterbacks that you've got like 3 moves you can do out on the field. And after that, it is what it is. But Stetson Bennett to me is a product of you're a good quarterback enough to be drafted to somebody, but saying you're a first-round choice and whatever. Look, I have nothing against Kirby Smart. I think he's an outstanding coach and great culture he's built, way better than Mark Richt, and not saying that he didn't try, but it wasn't going to pan out. But Stetson Bennett was a guy that he had great atmosphere. Now you're getting into the pros where you're playing against even better defense. Everybody's good. You're going up against Micah Parsons and Kenny Clarks, and you're going up against your Vita Baez, and everybody's a good
Your monsters.
Yep. You're exactly right. And no shade on Stetson. He can play, but there's been moments where I've also seen, what is it doing? And you're exactly right with Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones would have panned out on another college team. I really don't. It's like Jake Coker. Jake Coker wouldn't have panned out if he stayed at Florida State. He came over because he wasn't going to sit the bench behind Jameis Winston. If he would have played anywhere else, there's no doubt in my mind he's not winning a national championship. There's no way. He was set up based on how many studs were on that team. And that year, you could name 5-6 receivers that Bama had, that were really, really good. Henry Ruggs, what was it, Judy? You had Devontae Smith.
One of the greatest classes in Bama history, probably, as far as receivers go.
Well, gentlemen,
I mean, the thing is, last thing on this point for me is the fact that I don't understand in this NIL era why so many teams are willing to spend so much money for a star quarterback when it's like we have seen so many times in our lifetime. We're not talking about 80s, 90s, 70s here. We're talking in our lifetime. Teams winning national championships when their quarterback was mid at best. And it's like, if you've got a great team, great O-line, great D-line, great linebackers, great receivers, running backs, all that stuff, and you have an average quarterback that just doesn't blow it for you. He doesn't, throw 3 picks in the natty. And like Blake Sims was that close for Alabama. And then he threw 3 picks against Ohio State. And then the Buckeyes won in 2014. And it's like literally Blake Sims just had to not do that. He was good all year, but then he did that. And then it's like, and now Blake Sims lives in infamy as, he was the worst quarterback ever. Jake Coker just didn't do that. He didn't make the 3 picks like Sims did, but they were the same. You know what I mean? They were the same. All I'm saying is Bama used to win natties with A.J. McCarron, Greg McElroy, Coker, Sims, all these guys, people forget, were not great. They weren't, and it's no shade on any of those guys. Like, McElroy was 80 billion times better receiver than any of us, but you can't compare him to some of the greats because he wasn't, like, that great. But Alabama had success with guys like him back then. I think, obviously some of them were better than others. Like McCarron did have a pretty solid enough NFL career for a little bit there. But, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you don't have to have the best quarterback in college football to win a national championship. And you still don't. You do not. Like, Georgia had the best team in college football, and they probably had, like, the 10th best quarterback at best, at very best. I mean, I'm being very generous even saying that. Probably not even 10 or 15, but top, good enough quarterback, and they won. That's all that matters. Is if your team is better than the other team, you're going to win. You just can't have your quarterback screw it up. He can't throw 4 interceptions. But like I think Mendoza legitimately was the best quarterback in college football last year because everybody else was just not good. The quarterbacks last year were bad. All across the board. which is why the draft resulted the way it did. I mean, they were terrible. But, I mean, like we've seen with Stetson Bennett. We've seen with Mac Jones. We've seen it with Jake Coker. You know, I mean, the Ohio State conglomeration of quarterbacks that they had that year, you know, Cardell Jones and Barnett Barrett and all, whatever, Barnett Barrett, whatever his last name. Those guys, all of them were horrible. Okay, and they won. Like Cardell Jones played in like a indoor, like I don't know what kind of league. Like still he kind of plays. I don't know.
He played arena football.
Arena football. Like none of those guys were good, but they still won. Team. I mean, you had Zeke out there. So there you go. I mean, I don't know, man. These teams are looking for the wrong thing. So many of these teams buy in and get this $10 million, like Michigan, spending all the money for Underwood. For what?
They're talking
it's like
him too.
You need to build your team, your O-line, your D-line, you know, all those other positions, and then you're good to go if your quarterback is good enough. But you're going in for this 5-star quarterback. He's just going to come in and he's going to fix your program. That's not the way. That is just not the way. Now, obviously, if Underwood was very good from the jump, you know, it'd be a different story. But a lot of times guys don't pan out that way anyway. All the guys that I just talked about, Mac Jones and Coker and all those guys, were good in their senior year. Even Ty Simpson, it took 4 years for him to do anything. You got to go for the older guy quarterback. Like Indiana let Mendoza percolate at Cal. They allowed him to get growth through his errors at a crappy program. Sorry, Cal. And then he went to Indiana and did what he did. Obviously with great coaching. But they didn't get Mendoza as a freshman. They got Mendoza when he was ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Like the portal, you got to use the portal smart. Everybody trash Indiana. Oh, all they had was a bunch of older guys. So what? So did Miami. So there's a lot of programs that are smart. You know, that's why I'm worried about Alabama this year because we're actually very young. And I think in this era, you want to be older. You want to have experienced guys.
Experience to the table, too.
Oh, yeah.
I got last bit to say on that is, you know, it every so often you'll get lucky with a quarterback that actually is really good. Like 2019, Joe Burrow was actually really good. He did really well, and he's great in the NFL. Mendoza, I'm tired of hearing. I get it too. People tell me all the time, well, I don't know if he was actually going to do anything. Why'd they bring in Kirk Cousins to shake it up? It's like, no, they didn't bring him in. Is they want a veteran presence as a backup quarterback because if you know the Raiders' road, before they had Mendoza – and then before they had Cousins, they went through musical quarterbacks, and it was horrible. You know, Gardner Minshew. They had Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. They had the guy from Cincinnati that didn't do anything, Desmond Ridder. And it got so bad they had to go to Desmond Ridder. And so that's why they brought the guy in. It's not that they brought him in to shake it up or take Fernando's job. It's they brought him in for stability if it really, really got sketchy, and they know, and Fernando knows that. Kirk Cousins knows that. But to say that like here's the thing: Ohio State won with a quarterback that was second to third on the depth chart because all season they were playing Braxton Miller the whole season, and when he got hurt, they played Barrett. They had no choice, and then it got to Carnell Jones, and they won, and it didn't do anything. Cade Klubnik. He got benched at Clemson or was on the verge of it. Drew Aller was hurt. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier was hurt. I mean, the guys at USC and Cal, Jordan Mayava, Sungya Poyatella, you know, they were okay, not great. I mean, they showed, you know, some tendencies. Bryce Underwood's getting talked about being benched. I mean, quarterback play right now doesn't have to be based on, you know, a 5-star quarterback. It's somebody with some, you know, stability there. And finally, you know, this is a young Bama team for sure. You know, I mean, the only real older guy that I feel like we picked up was Josh Ford from Oklahoma State, you know, as a tight end to take over for Josh Cuevas. But realistically, it's like young kids. Ackland Deer's young. E.J. Crowell's young. Pritchett. I love Pritchett. Love my guy. You know, but we're still a young squad trying to figure it out. Most of the guys that won championships were a bit older or had been through the program long enough to really, really see something. So we'll see.
Oh, for sure.
And the thing is like for Alabama fans, especially now that they've given DeBoer the contract, like I've had more time to think about it since then. You know, and I feel like the reason they gave him the extension is just to show like, hey, we're not moving on from him no matter what happens this year. So it's like recruits, everybody, You know, we're
Well-
looking toward the future here, you know, because obviously, you know, my mindset was like, if Alabama goes 8-4 this year, the board's gone. Well, that's not happening now that they've given him this massive extension, massive contract. So you think about like Alabama, if, and that's a big if, none of these guys transfer. Deere, Crowell, Sedarian Morgan, and all these guys we're getting in the 26 and 27 classes, they're going to impact our team 2-3 years from now. Now, again, we got to hope that none of them transfer, because that's the biggest problem these days, is that you lose guys with the portal going young. You have them for a couple years and they leave and they go to another program, and that's where they have their success. So that's why a lot of programs are taking the opposite approach. And instead of getting freshmen, they get some freshmen, but then they actually, like most of their guys, are bringing in from the portal when they're juniors and seniors, because they can't retransfer. Like they're with you now, and that's what they're going to be to the rest of their career. So it's very interesting. Like Alabama has to have these guys stay. They cannot leave. They have to remain in the program, and they got to develop, because if they do, Alabama's going to be very good in 2027, 2028 with those guys. But right now, we're not there yet, because all those guys are so young. We're not there. We're going to be there if Russell stays and all the guys I just mentioned stay in 2027, 2028. Alabama could actually be very, very, very good again.
yeah.
Process. We got to wait now, because I think this year's it's not going to be the year. You never know. Like Alabama could surprise everybody, and they could be really good, just like some other programs have done in the past. I'm not saying we can't be very good, but there's going to be growing pains this year, I believe, and we might lose 2, 3, 4 games that, you know, just like, man, this sucks. But like, if the guys stick it out, the coaches stick it out, and the players, more importantly, stick it out and remain with our program, then we're going to be good in the future. But I just don't trust it these days, because you're seeing so many players at programs leave after their sophomore year, and then it's like, great, now they go to the other program and they're doing way better. So that's what we can't have.
For sure.
Finally, I just want to say this, that Coach DeBoer, there's no doubt in my mind that other schools gave Coach DeBoer a call and said, hey, would you consider seeing what we have to offer? I promise Michigan called Sexton. I'm sure Penn State, before they hired Matt Campbell. I'm sure there were schools, and I'm not saying they did, but maybe Auburn called and said, would you consider it? You know, before they hired Alex Golish. But there was other programs that called, and that's another reason why I believe they gave him the extension too. It's like they don't want to have to believe that it's the end of the road for a what-if coach. So that's my thoughts.
There we go. Well, Richie, it's awesome as always talking with you. Welcome back, and you're always welcome to come by anytime, man. Thank you for calling in.
Appreciate you coming on, Richie.
Absolutely. Take care, you guys.
Take care, Richie. And we've got our next caller, Mean Diesel Inc. After that, we've got Lucas Hill and Sports Talk with Austin. We're going to go 5 minutes with Mean Diesel Inc. How you doing tonight, man?
Hey, how's it going tonight, guys?
Oh, it's going all right. How are you doing tonight?
Well, first of all, my friend Caden made a good point, actually, earlier on the show. I was listening. Caden, I know you're probably watching or listening, but here's the thing. If we're really going to talk tough teams, can we just point out that everything you said, about 95% of that was either correct or you've drank too many Mountain Dews, my friend. But you know what? You made a good point Monday to me the other day, or Monday. NIL is driving this industry nuts. And I can be completely honest that Caden made a good point. Caden's a good friend of mine personally. We know each other since we were kids. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Caden at this point.
All right.
So I don't know if you had a question.
I was going to ask, how are you feeling about the 2026 season for college football, as it's 100 days away until week 0?
To be completely honest, it's cool, but honestly, Caden said this to me the other day at breakfast. He said, we need more competition in our schedule, especially at Ohio State. He makes that good point. Clear as a crystal. I mean, I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
I mean, what's funny about that opinion? I mean,
No, I mean it's like it's not the opinion. It's just like I'm just, I'm just smiling thinking about how closer we are to college football because it's 29 minutes away until midnight in the Eastern time.
yep,
That means we're gonna get to 99 days.
yeah. Actually, the funny story I was telling to someone with Kate and I.
Ooh.
Kate and I both grew up in the same town, just about 10 houses apart. So, little fun fact there.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're wondering, Caden's always been the way he is, just brutal, rude, tough. And personally, though, Caden, he does like to rip up and down the roads a lot.
Oh yeah.
I seen his one pickup truck, or the one he's got, that, and man, he likes to really rip up and down the roads with that fully loaded. Good grief. But here's the thing him and I were talking about, and I'm sorry that I'm mentioning him. It's just him and I both grew up together.
Oh, no worries, man.
But he was just saying, like, it's like, you know how college football is about to become the NFL, and they're offering this whole much money to young kids, or not even young kids, young men. Kaden made the point, it's like teenagers becoming actors for Disney and Nickelodeon, and then they sell their souls to Disney and Nickelodeon to become famous.
Yeah.
I told him that it literally makes a good point, but he points out one good thing. I mean, it's just a lot of money involved. Millions to trillions of dollars involved. And I'm thinking to myself, what even the heck is going on with all this money? I mean, it's just useless. Now, that's just our opinion, but that you can tell me if I'm stupid or just...
Oh, I mean, like the parents, I know they're going to be rocking and rolling. They're going to be getting ready because they're kind of like that point you made about the Disney Channel Nickelodeon parents. You're going to see a lot of the parents just kind of see if they can get their kid to the highest bidder for high school.
It even isn't the highest bidder. It's them selling their souls.
Oh, yeah.
And Caden was just saying this. And it's like, I'm like, he makes a good point. Him and I are just from this, like I said, small town. I mean, my family owns the dealership right down the road from where we are. And, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I didn't grow up, in the spotlight or nothing. I grew up in a machine shop. Caden grew up in my family's machine shop as he was getting older, and then him and I both played sports, and yeah, we're at where we're at, and we both own the business, and that's what this account's named after, is our business, actually.
There you go, man. Well, me and Diesel, we will be seeing you soon, and we'll get to our next caller.
If you're curious, my name, it's Peyton Green, to be specific.
Peyton Green. All righty.
And can I at least just say a shout out to my best friend, Caden? He's my best friend, and, well, grew up together as kids, and one heck of a dude and one heck of a character. And oh, man. You should have seen the pile he burned of a bunch of trees last week.
Oh, man.
It was high. Oh. But you'll have to get Caden back on here because he's a cool dude. And, yeah, I know he gives you guys a lot of crap, but that's only, him just being him.
Oh,
Cade's just being Cade.
well, we get a
And
lot of
that's,
fun out of it. That's for sure. We enjoy it.
I always thought, watching, I'm like, man, he really opened up a can of, butt kickings on you guys.
But yeah.
Woo!
So it's gonna be a wild ride, that's for sure, especially as we get close to the season. All right, man. We'll go ahead and get to our next call. We appreciate your call, good buddy.
Yep, you guys take care. Have a great night. And as Caden likes to say, and I'm going to do it in his honor, roll, Buckeyes, roll.
All righty.
Well, we've had 2 calls from Cade tonight, so it's great.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get to our next call. He is the host of the Southern Sports Scene, the one and only himself, Lucas Hill. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
What up, fellas? It's 11:38 where I'm at. I'm on vacation.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Oh, Memorial Day weekend. There you go.
I forgot it was Memorial Day weekend, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it's like for me, I always make sure it's easy to remember for me personally, because I mean it's always like the last Monday of May.
Right.
That's how, so it's
Yeah.
like there you
Well,
go.
a lot of the holidays give you a clue, but sometimes
Right.
sometimes you forget.
Oh yeah.
We're in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for my senior trip, so
Oh, there you go, man.
Nice.
we might be heading. I don't know if we'll head to Dollywood at all this weekend because it's been pissing down rain, which sucks. But I mean, it's been cool nonetheless.
Oh man, like we've had a lot of rain down here today in Bama. Our guy Andrew at the Mississippi State channel dealt with a thunderstorm. It got so bad to the point
Right.
it was taking the power out for him, where it's like he could only do like 2 minutes of tonight's edition of the Mississippi State College Show. And it was like doing the mess round.
It's supposed to be April showers bring May flowers. That's what it's supposed to be, but whatever. I guess that just doesn't apply.
Right. We lost power twice.
That sucks.
Earlier this morning, and then I think 2 nights ago. That was whenever I was filming with old Paul for Locked On West Virginia.
Oh yeah.
And right in the middle of the interview, boom, my power went out, and I had to quickly get on my phone and rejoin the stream.
Oh man, that's why it's like, if I can, I'm just gonna get to a point where I'm just like bringing a generator with me at all times. That way, it's
honestly,
like, yeah, because it's like, so somebody's gonna ask me one of these days, why the hell are you bringing a generator? We're only going on a vacation beach. Hey, you never know. It's like
it's either that or you bring a hotspot.
Exactly. Well, I'll make sure to do that too. So, like, I want to be prepared.
Being double prepared.
Exactly. I mean, I want to be prepared for B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. You know the rest of the letters.
You guys,
Plankton had Plan Z, so
Oh, literally. That's how it was with me for Spanish classes for this past semester. But hey, we got past it, and that's all that matters.
Oh yeah, congratulations on graduating, man.
Nice, congrats, man. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much, gents. That means a lot to me. That's
why
it's a big deal, man. I mean, it's hard work. It is hard work.
And I got one more year with it. So I got my MBA program, and hopefully by that time I'll have a full-time job secured. But if that doesn't work out, hey, we'll make money doing the YouTube stuff. So we'll see what happens. You guys had mentioned about this past year and about Indiana. And I meant to put this in the comment that this was the most balanced team in college football in history. You look at every phase of the game, that it just felt like they owned every side of the line of scrimmage. They had a balanced rushing attack with Roman Hemby and Kalen Black. They had a game manager, which is what Fernando Mendoza had to do, got clutch in big-time situations. You have a balanced roster at receiver with Eli Surratt, a guy in Charlie Baker who I think is going to be a star in the making. You have an offensive line that was really, really good this past year. I mean, not a lot of big names. I know Pat Coogan's going to get the most out of it because he's a Rose Bowl MVP. There were some other guys that I really liked. Defensively, I think when you look at where they were as a whole, I think they played complementary football. I thought they were deep at linebacker. I think that was the strength of their team. I think when you look at their secondary, when you talk about guys like D'Angelo Pons at 5'9", and he's having a he's having a college football playoff run that, in my opinion, if he doesn't even have that, and if Indiana doesn't even make it past the second round of the playoffs, we're not seeing his name called within the first 100 picks. My own personal opinion.
Yeah, because I mean, like, if he was 6'1" and played the exact same way, he would have been a top 20 pick, no doubt about it. It's just his size literally was the only limitation for him because he was fantastic. I mean, he went up against Jeremiah Smith. He went up against every major receiver that came his way and didn't allow them to do much. You know,
I don't know about Jeremiah Smith, but I will say this. Jeremiah Smith had a lot of short routes that they planned for him, but when it came to like deep balls, I think there were a couple of balls that Pons got mossed on and got beat in some press coverage situations. But I think apart from that, OSU played it very, very short to Jeremiah. And with how quick that he is out of his breaks, he's able to get up the field and create yards after catch, which has always been one of his strong suits.
Well, there you go.
I need some questions, guys, because I'm bored. I'm not ready to
go
to
there
bed.
You go. Yeah, because I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I'll have to go to bed soon too, so I'm in the same boat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because I just got. Yeah, I'll do like a little fastest 3 minutes for you, Jeffrey. Yeah, because I just saw your hot seat list for the SEC just now, Lucas, where you got DeBoer and Heupel on the lukewarm list. You've got Beamer and Lebby on that hot seat. I mean, I could see Lebby being on a hot seat.
Every
Beamer,
Mississippi State coach has been on the hot seat lately, man.
I could see Beamer being on the hot seat, but I don't know why, but I'm feeling
Is
like
he going to have another good year, though? I mean, that's the thing. Like, every time he's on the hot seat, he has a good year, but I don't know about this time.
Well, yeah, because I mean, honestly, it's like when you say that, when you've said that over the last few years about South Carolina, Jeffrey, that's been like my clue about where South Carolina's going to go.
I knew they weren't going to be good last year. I could feel it. You know, like everybody's like, oh, South Carolina's going to be good. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm like 6.
Did you know that they weren't going to be good, or did you know that they weren't good? They were going to go 4-8 this past year.
I did not know they were going to go 4-8. I had them going 6-6.
I mean, we knew that.
I wasn't that low on them.
But I mean,
I also had Indiana going like 9-3. You know,
I had South Carolina going 8-4 in the preseason.
Yeah, I had South Carolina going 6-6, and I had people telling me, "Oh, South Carolina's going to go 9-3." They got one of the best quarterbacks in college football, which I agree with them. I thought Sellers was going to have a much better year, but I mean, the rest of the team, I knew the defense was going to regress because they lost some guys, and then they lost some guys in the portal, and I'm just like, they're not going to be good.
And
I don't even think that. Go ahead, Jackson. My bad.
Well, I was going to say, you know, I did look at Sark. I was looking at where you have them at their good list, but if Texas comes up short of the playoffs, like they did last year.
Dude, if Texas comes up short of the playoffs, he's on fire.
Yeah.
Okay? Like with what they've done. Like, sorry to cut you off. Like, with what they've done in the offseason. He got Manning back. You know, it's going to be his year because he's going to be so much better now. And then they brought in Smothers, and they brought in receivers, and they brought in defensive guys and everything. I mean if they miss the playoffs, that would be one of those disappointing things of all time.
Oh, 100%. Like that firing of Pete Katowski, they made that was a panic fire. That told me something, that he knows something is up, that he's got that 2026 has to be the year. But that's what I'm curious about on Sark.
Well, when you look at, I mean, here's the thing too. Is Texas going to be willing to pull the over $60 million trigger if that's the case, if they fall short of expectations this year and next year? That's the big question that you got to think about too. Because, I mean, it wasn't but before they even got into the SEC. Sark gets a 10 and is now making over $10 million.
Yeah.
His buyout goes all the way till the end of this decade. I don't think they pulled the trigger right now. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger for a while. The reason why I have Sark at they're good is because I just don't think Texas is in a position right now that even if, which I don't think is going to happen this year, even if Texas does fall short, I just think that the buyout is too much for them. I just simply don't. Because let me just ask you, are you going to fire a coach that literally 15 or 16 months ago was one win away from playing for a national championship and maybe all likelihood winning a national championship?
Probably
and then you look at what
not.
happened
I
last year.
wouldn't.
Think about the turnover they had from the offensive line this past year.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
a bad O-line. Not all of it was Arch's fault. I do think that he is overhyped as a quarterback, but I don't think necessarily he deserves all the blame as to what some pundits had him. But I also look at this. There's several games that I look at Texas this past year. They could have went from a 10-3 season this past year to a 7-6, maybe even a 6-7 regular season or total season.
They should have lost the Kentucky game.
They should have lost Mississippi State too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They were bad in both of
You
those.
shouldn't be having to get.
They did
lucky
improve by the end of the
with
year.
Mississippi State.
They
Like,
got a
that's
lot
the
better by
thing.
the end of the year, but still, I mean, they were rough at the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I agree with all that, Lucas. I think for me, it's just like Texas could afford to fire him at any point because they've got money. Them and A&M got so much money that they could fire him, but they're not.
Exactly.
If they miss the playoffs next year, they're not going to fire him. It's just
Right.
his seat will be on fire at that point because, again,
That's why
it's all about narrative. So much of this is narrative driven. You know, I mean, like DeBoer being all warm and on fire is because of narratives. Like, oh, it's Alabama. You know, they're not winning enough, and he's got to go. But then Alabama gives him an extension. It's like, pump the brakes. I think everybody kind of realizes that this year is not going to be the year.
No.
You never know. I'm not saying it won't be or can't be, but Alabama's probably not going to be elite or great this year because they're too young. But in the future, they're buying into that. Like, we're going to be good eventually, like back to elite level in a couple years. But with Texas, it's because right now they're getting hyped up so hard. They're going to be preseason number one, should be, and they've got all these great players that they brought in. They've spent so much money on the roster. Like, if they don't, I mean, obviously, if major injuries or whatever, I mean, people excuse that. But barring major injury, if they miss the playoffs, not a 4-team, a 12-team playoff, with what they're supposed to be, according to everybody, he will be on fire. He's not going to get fired, but he's going to be absolutely on fire. He will catapult up the list, and that's the type of pressure Sark has, and he knows that. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Are you
Well,
talking
one
about
of the
DeBoer, or are
reasons
you talking
why-
about Sark?
I'm talking about Sark here. DeBoer's fine now. DeBoer is absolutely fine. And why I say that is because Alabama, I believe, again, I've had time to think about it. When they first gave DeBoer the extension, I was like, what are they doing? Why do they do that? I still don't like the decision because I'm like, why? He didn't do anything to deserve it. But I think Alabama realizes, like, all right, we're kind of going through a little bit right now, but we're building toward the future. We're getting all these great recruits. We're very young right now. So they don't want the recruits to be like, all right, he's going to be potentially fired if we go 8-4 this year. They gave him an extension to be like, that's not going to happen.
That's a
So don't worry
statement that was made by administration that says we put our trust in a guy that can lead a program properly, and that's what DeBoer has done.
Well, and one of the reasons why, like, I've had some of these thoughts just nagging at me about like Sark was like this time last year, we didn't sit and think James Franklin was on a hot seat, right? I mean, you're taking Penn State to the semifinals.
And like I said, Texas is also a program that has the money to. I'm not saying Alabama doesn't, but like Alabama's not going to fire DeBoer now. They're not going to. They're not going to fire. If DeBoer goes 8-4 next year, they're not going to fire him. It's not even going to be close to firing him because of the extension. Texas wouldn't fire him, but they would consider it if they went 8-4 next year because they're like, dude, what are you doing right now? They wouldn't fire him, but they would be closer to pulling the trigger than Alabama by far because of the money Texas has. That Texas it's well versed that they just blow money on everything. They overpay for players in the portal. They overpay for high school players. That's what they do. They overpay for coaches. They overpay because they can. They don't make sometimes the best financial decisions all the time. Like Worthy was gone. Worthy was gone. And Texas was like, no, you're not. You're not gone because we're going to pay you more. They're like, you're not leaving. You're not going anywhere. Other programs would have let Worthy go. Texas has money. And Texas is like, well, if A&M can do it, we can do it. That's why Sark's not on the hot seat now. But if he goes 8-4 next year, he is. He's not going to get fired, but he will be on the hot seat. He'll be majorly on the hot seat because this team is expected to be the best team in college football next year. I have seen so many people say that this is Texas's year, and anything short of an Natty is bad. So when that happens, especially at a program like Texas, where with the way that football is set up now with money and the amount of money that Texas has and the amount of money that Texas could blow just to get rid of him, to get somebody else, yes, he would be on the hot seat if they missed the playoffs because they're not supposed to. DeBoer is fine now because he's safe because they gave him the extension and they're buying into him and they're going to be patient. Texas doesn't have to be patient. They can just be like, all right, Sark, you're done. They're not going to fire him after this year if he misses the playoffs. I'm just saying that if he misses the playoffs, yes, he is red hot.
3 points for you. First of all, the James Franklin comparison that you have right now with Sark. James Franklin had been going at this for 10 years compared to what Sark has had at Texas.
Yeah.
Understand that when Steve Sarkisian was first hired in 2021, this was a team that consistently was not meeting the expectations of what the roster had in store. First year, he goes 5-7. Then he quickly builds up in recruiting, builds the program from the ground up, is finally able to get over the hump. And now we can clearly say that Texas is a national championship contender at this point in time. We were saying the same thing with James Franklin, except the honeymoon ended after maybe 4 years. Every Penn State fan was getting tired of falling short, losing to Ohio State over and over and over. The last time that they beat him was James Franklin's, was it second year?
Third year.
That was his third year in 2016. Texas has already beaten Oklahoma a lot in Red River. They're not getting embarrassed like they used to back in the day. Right now, they're owning the series. It's a more competitive series. It is a series that you want to watch. They've already been to the college football playoff. They've gotten this close to getting into the college football playoff. And they have more resources compared to what James Franklin had. After that Oregon game, everything just completely collapsed for Penn State. Number one, because you lose games that you shouldn't have. That Penn State game against UCLA was worse than the Texas loss to Florida last year. It was horrible.
Great.
Because you're talking about a Penn State team that you're considering as a national championship contender that was number 2 in the nation this past year, that had all the expectations. Administration looked at that game afterwards and said, clock's ticking for him. He better turn it around. After the Northwestern game, that was it. That was it. I don't think Texas administration is in that position right now. And I don't think they will be in that position at this point in time, because what has Sark really done to get that kind of treatment? Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying if they went 8-4 next year and had a couple of really egregious games,
but it's not the same, Jeffrey.
Yes.
It's not.
It might not be the same, but it would be similar because Texas's expectations are so ridiculously high. They were not so ridiculously high last year. They were high, but they were not as high as they would be this year. This year is at the about as all-time high as you can get for expectations. That's why Texas can't go 8-4. Yes. If Sark wants to be the long-term head coach at Texas, they have to make the college football playoffs this year, because right now he's okay, but one bad season and you're cooked, because you cannot just turn that back around and be like, all right, I'm still the guy. Believe in me, trust in me, when it's like you were the number one, the preseason number one, and everyone's thinking that you're going to be the best team or like second best team in college football, and then you go 8-4.
That
Can't
brings me to point 2. What did Stark do in the offseason to make those changes? He goes out and he hires a defensive coordinator that truly is a really, really, really damn good DC that has a legacy of being a good defensive coordinator in Will Muschamp. He's been in Texas before. He's been with Steve Sarkisian before. He understands how to run a defense. Here's my thing with Kwiatkowski, and I really like Coach Kwiatkowski. But the thing is that I never thought Kwiatkowski had a firm grip on the defense. I really didn't. And what he did with the talent that was around him, it never worked. On paper, it just never did. That's why you see them in a 3-game stretch give up 38, 37, 30-plus games to teams like Mississippi State, to Arkansas, to Georgia. You just can't accept that. That's the big difference between him and James Franklin, too, is because James Franklin, yes, he went out and got a really good defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. But that's not the part of the problem that was the big issue for Penn State this past year. It was their offense. Andy Koltnicki, love him. Think he's a great guy. Not a good play caller, honestly. The system never fit Drew Aller. And that was the same thing with the defense this past year for Texas. Bottom line. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, like everything you just said is absolutely true. I agree with it. And I think that's what makes it more imperative that Texas has to be good. Because, again, they've made all these moves to be good. And that's why they can't go 8-4. I'm not saying they're going to go 8-4. I think Texas is going to be darn good next year. I don't know about best team in the country, but I think they more than likely will make the playoffs. I think they're going to be very good. But if they have a bad year, that's why it could get really ugly fast for Sark. He has the most volatility next season, in my opinion, for now, until obviously we see what happens with every teams in their seasons. But he has the most volatility right now of end of next year. He could be up there with Kirby and Cignetti as best coach in college football if he's won a natty and everybody's praising him, or he could start sinking fast if they underperform. Fast. Not fired, but he's going to fall because you cannot miss the playoffs with this team. You can't. You just cannot. They've done so much. They've spent so much money. They've made all the right moves. They've brought in all the right players, according to everyone. And they should be just so good next year. If they go 8-4, 9-3, 7-5, there'll be problems. You're not going to get fired, but there's going to be problems.
Who do you think is the best team in college football this year?
I have no idea because, I mean, it's May 21st, and we have no clue. Indiana ended up being the best team in college football this past season, but they still weren't the best team. They didn't have the best players, but they played harder than everyone else. And they like you said, complete team. They played harder than everyone else, and they won. But I can't say. I have no idea. I think based off talent, it's either Texas or Ohio State. I think it's Texas or Ohio State. I'm going with the
Buckeyes right
now.
But
I don't know because we don't know what these teams are going to do.
But I could see
cop-out answer, but it's definitely Texas or Ohio State.
I think the Buckeyes are the best right now in college football, but I could see Oregon making a deep playoff run this season. I would not be surprised.
Oregon's got a lot of talent, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, is Dante Moore worth the hype? That's my question about it. Ready?
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, that's going to be the question, though, is, did Dante Moore make the right call returning for 2026 to see if he can lead Oregon to their first national title in school history? Or should he have just entered the 2026 draft?
Absolutely not. It was the perfect decision for him to make. He wasn't ready to be a first-round draft quarterback this past year. That's why he needed a return.
It's only the right decision to make because of the era we're in now, where you make $8 million coming back to college. If it was 2018, it would have made no sense for him to return. Zero at all. It's just a different era now because everybody's saying, "Oh, it's a smart decision." It's only smart because he's probably going to be highly drafted next year, unless anything insane happens. Hopefully not. And he's making $8 million plus whatever. I mean, he's going to probably more because he could be in commercials maybe. He's like, there's a lot of money to be made for a guy like Dante Moore in college at a program like Oregon. So it makes perfect sense for him to come back. It just did not make any sense, 8, 9, 10 years ago. So, I mean, that's the only reason why it's a smart move. I mean, I'm seeing Michigander say Oregon and Notre Dame. I'm just, as of this point in the offseason, I mean, we haven't seen any games yet. We're in the middle of May. It's like, to me, you got to go off talent when you're evaluating best teams because that's all you have. You know, Indiana was not making no one's list for best team or they're going to win a natty at the beginning of last year. People thought Indiana could be good, but no one had them winning it all. I didn't have them anywhere close to winning it all, and I was higher on them than most. So, again, it's like it's impossible to say as of right now. I just think Texas has tons of talent. Ohio State always has tons of talent. Yeah, they lost a lot, but they still got tons of talent.
Y'all are forgetting
Oregon's
about
got
Miami.
Talent. Miami's got talent. Georgia's got talent. It's the same. It's the same teams here. We're talking about the same teams. It's changed a bit because Clemson's out of the picture. You know, you've added Texas. Oregon's gotten there. You know, Notre Dame's kind of hovering around there. You know, Notre Dame is talent, but Notre Dame's always lacking somewhere. Every season, they're kind of like Notre Dame is the better version of Penn State at everything. They're better than Penn State at everything, but they're still not good enough. Like they got close, but there's just still a gap, man. Like especially receiver. I know they've made efforts to get better at receiver, man, but like because they brought in some Ohio State transfers, ironically, but like Notre Dame, most years their receiver position is so weak, and guess what? What is Penn State's biggest weakness? Receiver. Notre Dame's just better than Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State's last like whatever Jahan Dotson. They've had nothing. Like they thought, literally, bringing in Julian Fleming was going to work. That Penn State is horrible.
Julian Fleming
we'll
was
see
the
what they do now, but they were horrible.
I've ever seen from a wide receiver coming out of high school ever. I've never seen a wide receiver that just flamed out like what Julian Fleming did.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be better than what we saw with Marvin Harrison and what Jeremiah Smith was able to do. Mm-hmm. But when I talk about Miami being the best team in college football, hands down, like there's it's not even close. I'm just telling you right now. Number one, they're going to be the number one team when it's all said and done. I have them already as being the number one overall seed in the college football playoff. Number two is because when you look at their schedule, what are their two toughest games? They go to Notre Dame, they go to Clemson. And even then, I wouldn't even really consider that Clemson game a very tough game.
Clemson's a disaster.
Clemson's going through a complete rebuild this year too. Mm-hmm. But regardless of that, when you go out and you get one of the ACC's most accurate passers in Darian Mensah, a guy that I think is going to lead the ACC in passing, you get his number one receiver in Cooper Barkgate. You bring back a guy like Mark Fletcher, who was a 1,000-yard back this past year that tore up in the second and half of a lot of college football playoff games. You bring back Malachi Toney, who's going to be the most exciting player.
Oh, he is going to chew people up like a chicken nugget. He's all over the place.
You bring in a secondary that was young this past year. You bring in guys like Omar Thornton from Boston College. You bring in Raul Aguirre, or not Raul McGuire. You bring in Jarquez Carter, who's a tank in the middle. You bring in Damon Wilson, who immediately replaces a guy like like a guy like, what's his name? Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain. I mean, he is the complete package at edge. And now, not to mention that, probably the biggest freak in college football this upcoming year in Ahmad Moten, who's in the middle. If he's back off of that injury that he had in the college football playoff, he was on one leg and he was still dominating. Go watch that Ole Miss game again and watch number 99 in the middle. He's going to be featured on almost every play in the first half, consistently in the backfield, consistently shutting down the interior of Ole Miss's offensive line. He played like a first-round defensive lineman in next year's draft. But that's when I'm going to leave it out on, guys. Y'all have a good rest of the night. It's midnight where I'm at. Always love to talk with you. You guys are the best. Love y'all. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate it, Luke. It's always great to chat. Love the conversations, and definitely can't wait to talk to you soon.
Oh, for sure, man. Oh, it's always a fun conversation with Lucas Hill at the Southern sports scene. I'm going to tell you, that's going to be a fun ride as we are now 99 days away till week 0 in Jeffrey's time zone. He is in the future. He's an hour ahead of me. And we're going to close the show out for the night. We have concluded 85 editions, the 85th edition of the Alabama College Show. Next Thursday will be 86. And Jeffrey, what magic have you got cooking this week, good buddy?
Again, I've said it before. I will try to have a NBA stream soon if I am able to try to fit that in, a play-by-play reaction. But it's just tough. Sometimes it's just trying to fit in your schedule, but I will try to see if I can get that done. Definitely appreciate it if you would check out my channel, Only Talk Sports. I will try to have more content coming up soon over the summer as we get closer to college football season. Also, follow me on X as well to know when I'm going live on my channel or making videos or live on Alabama, the voice of college football. Definitely, again, most importantly, appreciate all the support you guys have shown on Alabama, the voice of college football. We're getting closer to 3,500 subscribers. We could not do it without you guys. And every Monday, every Thursday, you definitely can check me on with Travion and Jackson on Monday and on the Collins Show with Jackson every Thursday night. Always love the conversation. Had some great conversations tonight with two versions of Caden. And we had Lucas and we had Sports Talk with Austin. We've had some great calls.
The return of Richie
as well. So definitely we appreciate everybody who's called in and can't wait to get closer to the college football season.
Oh, man. And with that note, we say goodnight to Jeffrey and to stay safe, stay warm, stay away from those thunderstorms.
Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide, good buddy. We'll be seeing you soon, man. And to conclude this show, joining us is the godfather of the SEC. How you doing tonight?
No voice. You ain't got no voice again, Jackson. Your voice is gone.
Oh, man, I don't. Oh, man.
I think this phone is haunted.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. VERN, as they say in Rain Man.
Wait a minute. I'll check out and come back in. Wait a minute.
All right. And we're here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we've got some magic coming your way on Alabama with the voice of college football. We've got it all coming. And here we go. Godfather is back.
There it is. We rolling good tonight. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, roll, man.
That's all I was gonna come in here and do. Y'all had a busy night. I just got on there a few minutes ago.
Oh, it's all good, man.
I'm praying. I'm in prayer, heavy prayer.
Oh, man, there you go, man.
Yes. Everybody have a good Memorial Day weekend. Jeffrey going camping this weekend. Stay out of the forest, Jeffrey. Bigfoot to get you.
Oh, well, we're getting our schedule figured out on account of Memorial Day for Alabama channel this week because Monday but we will keep everybody updated. But
all right.
I don't think we're going live Monday on account of it being Memorial Day, but we'll figure something out for you guys. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's raining here. Headed your way. Come over us. Headed your way. You probably.
Oh man, we had rain just beat our eyes out today in Bama, like over here. Our Mississippi State guy, Andrew Miller, dealt with a power outage not once but twice at his place because it cut short on the Mississippi State college show they had tonight. So prayers to Andrew Miller. Praying that everything's all right. He's all good, but praying to him all same. But we will go ahead and here we go. Godfather, want to do the honors of closing the show out, good buddy? Uh-oh. Where'd you go? Volume went on, Raggy. All right, man. We'll go ahead and put you in the green room for a little bit. We'll close this show out. And of course, you can check me out on my personal channel at JacksonJohnson979, where I've got some upcoming episodes of the Jet. Oh, here we go. There you are. There you go.
My phone's what AWOL. Let it go, Jackson. Let it rip.
All right, man. Want to do the honors of closing the show out with me?
Yeah, let's do it. Take it off.
All right, man. And of course, you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979, where I've got 2 upcoming episodes of the Jacksonian this weekend. I'll be having Matt Zemek of the USC channel, Trojans Wire, BYU Cougars Wire, College Wire joining me to discuss the future of the college football schedule. Is it too afraid of the NFL? BYU, USC. Is Notre Dame USC coming back in 2030 or before that? We'll be discussing all that. I believe I will have that released Friday night or Saturday afternoon at the latest. But I know I will be filming with Shane Statmiller of the West Virginia channel, talking about the Steelers, the West Virginia Mountaineers, and much more. But for more update, but also we've got a new update. The SEC channel, its old home was at, where the Texas A&M channel is now. But we will tell you right now, the Voice College Football SEC, this is the new home right here. This
Oh,
is
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. So that's
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Yep, that's the new home for the SEC at the Voice College Football. So tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that you'll see Andrew Miller, Tucker Harlan, and myself bring you Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Sweet. Totally Michigander, totally. But we've got magic at SEC at the Voice College Football coming your way. I've got magic coming your way on Alabama at the Voice College Football. Any video ideas, content ideas you've got, send them over my way, and I'll make sure to get to me and the crew here at Alabama Voice College Football will get them to you. And you can check out my updates, what I've got going on Jacksonville CP on /Twitter and on Instagram and threads Jackson Johnson 543908. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss another video whatsoever. And we'll be seeing y'all soon. Godfather, you ready?
Yeah, let it rip.
Here we go. And roll
Tide. Roll.
There we
Happy
go.
Memorial Day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Happy Memorial Day.